Hello and welcome. I'm Garth Allen. This is Racing News Now, and today we've got a couple pieces of news to talk about in the ARCA series world. We've got a suspension of a team owner, and then we've got a little more talk on the lapped car slash slow car situation from Bristol on Thursday, as we have a response from the series on that. Also, very quickly, if you're new here, we're currently in our hashtag Race to 1K. So if you haven't already, consider going down below to hit that subscribe button. It's free to do. The quicker we get to 1,000 subscribers, the quicker YouTube will let us do mobile live streams from the track, which will greatly improve both the quality and quantity of coverage we are able to give you from the track. We will be at both remaining ARCA Series races this season for the main ARCA schedule at Salem and Kansas. So if we hit 1,000 before then, you will get mobile live streams from those races. If not, we'll definitely give you mobile live streams in 2022 from the track. We plan to be at most, if not all, ARCA races in 2022 now that things have opened back up more. So get us to 1,000 and you will not be disappointed by the coverage you see from these races, live from these races here on RNN. First though, let's talk about the penalty handed down to David Gilliland, owner of DGR, David Gilliland Racing. He has been fined $1,500, suspended for a race, and placed on probation for the rest of the 2021 season for violating Section 12-8.1 ARCA Member Conduct Guidelines. The penalty report doesn't really explain what exactly he did. My understanding is it stems from an altercation on pit road post-race at Bristol on Thursday. I'm not exactly sure what happened. The only video that I've seen is that he was yelling at Drew Dollar from a distance while being held back by team members. It doesn't seem like he ever actually got in Drew's face, never made a physical altercation out of it. I'm not 100% sure if there's more to it than just the video that has been circulating around of what happened on pit road, but that seems to be all that happened, which makes it a little interesting why he got suspended. But nonetheless, this is the penalty that ARCA has given, and I'm assuming, it doesn't specify in the penalty report, but I'm assuming this is for main ARCA races only, so this does not count for the Vegas race tomorrow for ARCA West, but it would be in effect for Salem next weekend, I believe. Again, it doesn't specify, so I'm not sure on that, but that's my understanding, is that it would be for a main ARCA race, since this happened in a main ARCA race. Even though DGR cars will be at, or a DGR car will be at Vegas tomorrow with Taylor Gray there. So, again, not 100% sure on that, but that suspension should be for Salem. All right, so let's move on now to the talk on the lapped car slash slow car situation from Bristol. That was the main reason I was going to make a video today, and then the penalty kind of popped up for David Gilliland that we had to talk about. So, if you remember back to the Rewind show Thursday night after Bristol, I talked about how much of an issue there was with slow cars being in the way in that Bristol race. And as I said in the Rewind show, you just need to have some situational awareness. Not saying that those slow cars shouldn't have been out there, but they should have been aware of their situation, of how much slower they were than the leader, and given the leaders a little bit more room when they were around. Otherwise, they're just a rolling roadblock that really is doing nothing for anyone. We have a response to that from the series. ARCA PR Director Charlie Krall was on his usual spot with Casey Campbell this week on Casey's ARCA Preview show, and Charlie had a response to this. Don't know if it was directly toward what I said or if there was others on social media that he was responding to as well, but he did give his thoughts on this. So take a listen to this, and then we'll discuss.
ARCA historically had gotten some heat for the lap cars being in the way, and lap cars ruining the race, and all of this. I can remember back in the day, watching the social media traffic and all the complaining of all these darn lap cars. And then we go through this little challenging time, and it's a challenging time for everybody, not just ARCA, but every racing series out there is really fighting to get cars. And our car counts are down. And that people are complaining that there's no traffic on the racetrack. And now we finally get a full field back on a short track. And again, people are complaining about the lap cars. So what do you want? You know, it's everybody has a right to be out there. Everybody does. It doesn't matter if it's, you know, Ty Gibbs or Zachary Tinkle or Don Thompson. Everybody, if you show up and you pay your entry fee and you've got a car that passes inspection, you've got a right to be out there. The only thing that we ask is, you know, when you are off the pace and it's not your day, pick a lane, you know, be predictable. You know, sometimes what happens is you catch two cars who are both laps down. One is, you know, 1 lap down and the other car is 4 laps down, and one is picked to be in the outside lane all day and the other is picked to be in the inside lane all day, and you've got nowhere to go. Right. That's being a race car driver. You have to, that it's not just about going the fastest you can go all day long. You know, you have to be smart. You have to learn how to weave your way through traffic. And as I've told you lots of times, Casey, that's what this level of racing is all about. You're here to learn, you're here to gain experience. And part of that is learning how to work your way through traffic. And yeah, some of our race cars sometimes, Casey, can be a little bit farther off the pace than they would probably like to be. It's all just part of it.
Okay, so let's go back to the first part of what he said there, where he was talking about pre-COVID, how people were complaining that there were too many lap cars, too many slow cars in the way, and then COVID happened, and there weren't hardly any cars on the track, and everybody was complaining that we needed more cars. Now, me specifically, I can't speak for everyone else out there, but me specifically, when we had these low car counts, which we still do some weeks, but it is bouncing back. When we had the low car counts, my complaint was not that we needed more cars overall. My complaint was that we needed more competitive cars. It doesn't seem like that has really happened since the car count has come back. And that's where a lot of my complaint has come from, is that, sure, we've got 31 cars on the track, but Ty Gibbs still ran away with the race. Sammy Smith was kind of close for most of the race, but it was still Ty Gibbs running away with it. We haven't really added to the number of competitive cars. And I want to reiterate that I'm not saying that the lap cars and the slower cars don't have a right to be out there. They 110% have a right to be out there. They're plugging away, trying to be one of those fast cars. They are trying to finish the best that they can, pull in some prize money, improve their cars, get to the point where they can be up there competing with Ty Gibbs, Sammy Smith, Corey Heim, Taylor Gray, all of those cars. Yes, they do have a right to be out there. I'm not saying that they don't. But that doesn't mean that they shouldn't have situational awareness. And that doesn't mean that they shouldn't realize that they are 20 miles an hour slower than the leader, and when the leader is catching them that quickly, that they need to get out of the way. I understand that they are being told, pick a lane, but at the same time, pick a lane shouldn't mean I'm running the high line all day, I'm not moving from this lane, even if there's 1 or 2 cars below me and we're 2 to 3 wide, making a literal wall in the track. To the point of, this is what this level is for, to learn and to figure out how to get through traffic. Yes, I agree with that 100%. This, and we've talked about that recently, in how this is the level for drivers to learn this stuff, so that they know how to do these things. They know how to pick their way through traffic when they get to Trucks, Xfinity, Cup. The difference here is that when you get to Trucks, Xfinity, Cup, those lapped cars, for the most part, are not this much slower than you are as the leader. Some of them are, but there's not nearly as many of them that are this much slower than you are as the leader. It doesn't become such a pain and such an issue of having 5, 6, 7 of them in a pack racing each other, and there's nowhere to go. Does that make sense? Am I just like, am I talking gibberish right now, or does this make sense? When you get to those higher levels, yeah, you're going to be lapping cars. You're going to be weaving your way through traffic, but those cars aren't so much slower than you at that level, or most of them aren't, that it becomes such an issue because you're having to run half throttle down the straightaway because you have nowhere to go the entire time. Ty Gibbs lost a 5-second lead in about 2.5 laps to Sammy Smith with like 8 laps to go because he had lapped cars all in the way and nowhere to go. Again, these situations do come up in the higher series, but it's not this big of a speed difference to where it's this much of an issue. Did we have these problems in the Cup race? Did we have these problems in the Xfinity race? Did we have these problems in the truck race? No, we didn't. We had cars being lapped in those races. In fact, every one of those races, I believe, unless I'm forgetting, had more cars or trucks on the track than this ARCA race did. Yet we didn't have the slow car problems in those races at Bristol that we had in the ARCA race. So clearly, that means there is something different happening with slow cars in this ARCA race than there are in the upper series. While I'm not saying that Charlie is wrong, Charlie is 100% correct on his points of this is where these drivers need to learn these skills. Everybody has a right to be out there. We're missing the bigger picture here of something has to be done with the situational awareness of some of these slower cars. Again, as I said in the Rewind show, not all of them had this issue. Brad Smith, I can remember specifically, every time I'd see him getting lapped, he was completely down, out of the way, not causing any issue whatsoever. Others, not so much. So there's got to be something done for this. This is literally the use of the blue flag. That's why the blue flag exists, to tell slow cars to get out of the way of fast cars. I don't think I've ever seen ARCA use a blue flag. Doesn't mean they haven't done it, but I don't think I've ever seen them use it. That's what the blue flag is for, to tell slow cars to get out of the way of faster cars. If they don't listen to the blue flag, then you black flag them. It's as simple as that. There are simple solutions to this that aren't being addressed by ARCA that need to be. But I think that's all we've got for you today. So thanks for hanging out, listening. If you have any thoughts on this, definitely let me know down in the comments below. Do you agree? Do you disagree with all of this? What are your thoughts on the lapped car, the slow car, or whatever you want to call it, situation that we saw in Bristol? Hopefully we don't see that anymore going forward, but we'll see what happens in the coming weeks. We've got another short track coming up here next weekend for Salem. I don't foresee it having quite as big of a car count, but we'll see. Maybe we'll have the same issues. I don't know. Maybe we won't. Maybe they've learned. Maybe the lap cars have learned. I don't know. But again, I think that's all we got for you today. So ARCA West coming up at the Las Vegas Bull Ring tomorrow. 11:30 p.m. Eastern is the start time for that. 8:30 p.m. Pacific. So with it being that late of a race, we're not going to have a watch party. I don't understand why we're starting this race so late. You're alienating your East Coast audience, if we're being honest. You're very much alienating your East Coast audience. Not that a lot of people were watching anyway because it's on Track Pass and most people don't have Track Pass anyway. But still, there are people that want to watch it live, and you're kind of alienating that eastern half of the country by not having it at a decent time for them because it's on a Thursday night. Most people still have work the next day, so nobody's staying up until 11:30 to watch this race if you're in like the eastern half of the country. I think it's going to be a great race, and it's a shame because they've got it at such a late time, but we will have a rewind show for it. I will be staying up and watching it and giving you coverage of that race. We just won't have a watch party because I don't want to put anybody through that, to be honest. I don't think anybody would be there anyway. I don't know that anybody wants to stay up that late and watch a watch party on here to do that. If you will, let me know down in the comments, and we might still do it, but I don't think it's going to happen. So, but yeah, that is coming up tomorrow. Salem is going to be next weekend, Saturday night. We will be at Salem giving you coverage from the track for that one. So, Lots of great stuff coming up for you here in the coming weeks as we wind down the 2021 ARCA Menards Series season and everything else in the world of racing. So, thank you as always to our Patreon supporter, Regional Manager William Holmes. Thank you as always for your support. It is greatly appreciated. If you would like to be a patron of RNN, the link is down below in the description. Patreon.com/RacingNewsNow. Not required by any means, but it really is appreciated when you want to support RNN in that way. But I think that's going to do it. So at that, I'm Garth Allen for Racing News Now.